Amidst the flaming rubble and the war-torn bodies, Blood and Black Rum Podcast brings you Red Hot 80s Action Summer Part 3, Back to Duty. Another heaping hunk of buff, beefy, brawny men sweating it out in the jungles in communist countries you know and love. We've got hits from Arnold, Jackie Chan, the Texas Ranger himself, and more. Stay tuned the whole month of August as we cover these action hits. Hey, welcome back everyone to Blood and Black Rum Podcast. It's Red Hot 80s Action Summer Month, and I'm joined with my co-host, Martin.
Ryan's a little amped up because he had to flush his testosterone system after watching the emasculating Barbie.
That's
right. He didn't want to see it, but the wife dragged him. And now we're coming in hot.
Yeah, that's right. We had to devote a whole month to testosterone-fueled films.
Making Ryan a man again.
That's right. Yeah, it's the start of Red Hot 80s Action Summer. This time we're back to duty with part 3.
You should change it to back to active duty.
Ooh, back to active duty. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to come up with something that sounded like stupidly generic for an 80s action movie. So
it's probably a film somewhere.
Well,
Chuck Norris's canon.
Well, it's kind of like the RoboCop slogan.
Yeah, I know.
Back online, back on duty. Which RoboCop did that one last year, right? For Red Hot 80s Action Summer Part 2 Heatwave Edition, which probably should have saved Heatwave Edition for this year. We're also having one this year, and probably for the foreseeable future.
Till time immemorial, so.
That's right.
You know, I say in honor of last year, when we did Roadhouse finally, when I was at work this weekend on Sunday, getting to the break room, nice at 2:50 in the morning, and Roadhouse is on one of the TVs. I was like, check it out. Roadhouse is on.
Now, was that on an actual, channel, or was it just... Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was like an IFC or something.
Oh, nice.
Which second shift has a lot better taste, because generally all three of our TVs are on ridiculousness 24/7. That's why we've recently switched it up to Bluey when we're on lunch.
There you go. It's either Red Hot 80s Action Summer movies or Bluey. Can only do one or the other.
I can only hope we have an offshoot of this podcast that's just a Bluey podcast.
Just related to Bluey, yeah. So, with our Red Hot 80s Action Summer this year, we wanted to cover a few different movies that we hadn't had in the past. Maybe some films that are sequels, some that are ones that, from your favorite action stars, but maybe not ones that we've done before. So, this one we're starting out with is a movie that I've never seen before, and we've had the star on it was our first outing with Red Hot 80s Action Summer, and we didn't revisit one in the second one. We didn't have him back, so this is a way to get back into him. Talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, famous
the Governator.
Absolutely. And this one is a 1985 movie, so it's like right in the heyday of Schwarzenegger doing his action movies. Previously, he did The Terminator in 84, and I think right around this time, he was doing quite a bit of movies. Had a lot of output.
This is like his real. This one's his real first action, because I wouldn't consider Conan, the Conan movies to be really action.
Yeah. I mean, Conan, not it's somewhat action, but not. Terminator, more actually of a horror movie than action, in my opinion. Yep. Then he did Red Sonja in 1985, and this one is, like you said, probably what you consider the real action movie. Conan and Red Sonja, they do have some action to them, but they're more
what you'd consider like fantasy, I guess, and that's my opinion, but more of a fantasy element. But Commando from 1985, now that is straight up hot-blooded action. And like I said,
full-blown, man.
Never seen it before. You said you've seen it like once, twice?
I've seen it, like once or twice a long time ago. It's been a long time, because honestly, it's not anything that we ever saw on TV back in the day.
No.
Predator, they'd put on, the reason why we did Predator first was, I think also because that summer there was a tie-in movie. But yeah, Predator is like something that's like, truly in the cultural zeitgeist, because it's been, it's had a billion sequels and media, but also it's, been shown to death on TV,
Sure.
So Commando is surprisingly a film that, I don't think I saw it until college.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just being like, okay,
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's weird that I never saw it, but I think you're right. I think because of it not being available on TV, probably was not something that just came up for me, especially at that time.
And we would have been too young for, our parents to be like, oh, yeah, you want to rent that?
Pick it up on VHS.
Yeah.
I mean, I distinctly remember a few things from my dad's video store from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I remember, obviously, Terminator 2 being a big one. And I remember Predator 2 being big ones there. But I don't remember pretty much anything else. It's kind of interesting. I don't remember anything. Maybe The Running Man 2. Other than that, I don't remember a whole lot from Schwarzenegger being a big part of my dad's video store, which is surprising. But
he didn't have anything for a Kindergarten Cop or Total Recall?
He might have. The other thing is that that's not really where I was perusing. I was often perusing the horror section.
Too busy looking at Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. Toys.
Yeah, and in the gleaming porn section at the back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My dad was tasteful. He didn't have the back end porn section in his VHS store. If you wanted that, you had to go to Video World.
They need to bring that back. Then oh, what's back there? It says you have to be 18 to go back there. I wonder what kind of movies are back there.
Behind a curtain, no less. So, yeah. With Commando, I didn't see it. I really didn't know that much about it either. But you don't really need to know much about this movie, except for like a very, very one sentence synopsis. Guy's kid kidnapped, has to go save her from communist country.
It's not just any kid.
It's Alyssa Milano. This movie took 3 writers too, by the way, to put this one together. I mean, the funny thing too is like it really doesn't differ all that much in actual plot. Just the setup itself from any number of other 80s action movies that had this same, and not even 80s, but like 90s, 2000s. Looking at you, Liam Neeson, Taken series. It doesn't differ all that much from any of them, but I think what sets it apart is the pacing and the some of the like internal details later on in the movie that kind of sets it apart from some of the other movies that would do the same sort of thing. So yeah, let's take a break real quick from talking about Commando though. Let's get into the beer that we have on the show today, which is one that you picked up and surprised both of us that we've never actually had it before.
I feel like we have, but like, what was like their old summer beer called?
It's a good question. I really don't know. I can't think of it. I feel like I like you. I feel like I've had it at some point, but then again, it's not too familiar to me. Where I think like maybe I'm just thinking of something else. So I really can't remember if we've had it or not.
I think we have. We've had to have, because we are just like with the whole reason why we did Clueless last week. We were Paul Rudd stands But not also are we Paul Rudd stands. We're also the Sam Adams of West Coast stands of Sierra Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Though we don't have them on the podcast as often as we probably should.
Yeah, it's actually one of those beers that we kind of, instead of having them on the show,
we just drink off.
Yeah, we tend to have them off stream. Yeah, it's interesting. And this one too, this Summerfest actually now reminds me of this. It's like probably the two beers from Sierra Nevada that I've kind of missed out on. This one and the Bigfoot one, the barley wine one, are two that I've never really taken to for whatever reason. So yeah, I don't know why. I've had their Oktoberfest, had some of their offshoots of like beers that they generally don't tend to, styles that they don't tend to do, but Summerfest specifically, don't think I've actually had. But this one's a summer lager that they've brewed, you know, it's sort of, I think it's like considered a German Pilsner, so something like that, where it has a very nice, crisp, dry Pilsner element to it that works very well in conjunction with the little bit of lemon that you get, like kind of a zestiness to it, which makes it extremely drinkable, but also complex enough to not feel like it's just like your standard American Pilsner. I think it's got a nice little bit of complexity to the taste, even though it's still very drinkable, goes down very smooth. And I like it a lot. And it's kind of a nice lead-in as well to their Oktoberfest style, because I feel like this beer is kind of getting you into the feel for more of those German malty, drier elements that Oktoberfest brings to the table, probably starting literally in like early August now. But I feel like it's getting you prepared for Oktoberfest.
On their website, and that new Oktoberfest can style that they got looks beautiful. Bavarian flag, but with black and yellow, so it's like a yellow jacket.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be checking out their Oktoberfest because I see that too. Yep, I see their nice little new design. Yeah. But I've always been a fan of Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest too. I do think that they tend to do a good job at some of their various other styles that they, besides pale ales and IPAs. I think this Summerfest is another good example of that.
Yeah, they're, and that's something I don't have enough anymore anyway. Like I'll have like maybe once a year I'll crack into one of their pale ales and it'll be like, oh, so beautiful, This Summerfest, this is what I would say. I'm pretty sure we've had it because there's no way we haven't had it. 'Cause from what I can tell, it's been the same fucking summer beer for forever. So we've definitely had it at some point, but haven't had it in a couple of years. That being said, this beer is what I would say is what Sam's Summer Ale wishes it was. Because Sam's Summer Ale to me has always been, and I get why it's still like their most popular seasonal because it's like the most accessible seasonal that they have, compared to the Winter Lager and Oktoberfest and what the 300 different spring seasonals that they can't ever, decide on. So I get the Sam Summer Ale appeal, but it's always been, I think, a mediocre beer because it doesn't really, shine in any aspect. Sierra Nevada Summerfest, on the other hand, is beautiful. It's light-bodied, very easy to drink, has a nice, breadiness to it that, like, you would find in a, German Pilsner or Kolsch. So it's, definitely actually has like a profile to it. It has a nice, like, sweet, little bit, like lemongrass, slight lemon zest to it. Nothing too overtly complicated, but it pairs well. It makes it a nice, crisp, refreshing beer that would be great on, hot summer days. This is a damn fine summer Pilsner. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
It's not overly complicated. It's, but it does it well.
Yeah, I think that this would be something that I definitely would pick up quite a bit during the summer. I'm glad that we got this, and I'm kind of reminded that this is something that I probably should be checking out more of, because I think it's really solid beer all around. It goes down very smooth, and like I said, I like that like simpleness, but also the complexity of the Pilsner style that they're offering. It's like 5% too, so like on a medium side of alcohol content. All right, so let's get into Commando, because I think we got a lot to talk about. As you said at the beginning of the movie, you think when you first, well, I guess we should say the true opening of this movie is kind of a nice little wake up call surprise, because it has like 3 different murders that occur right at the beginning of the movie. The first one is, hey, garbage trucks just plowing down the streets, nice little early morning, joggers out for a run, birds are chirping. Guy wakes up with his beautiful wife, who he doesn't probably deserve to be with. He's definitely
he's a fucking war hero. You shut your mouth.
He's definitely punching up there, and he gets up. He's like, "Fuck, the garbage is here. Fuck, it's Tuesday." Which, when you get older and your taxes do go to garbage and recycling, you can kind of understand his feelings of like, well, fuck me. I'm not taking advantage of my fucking tax dollars.
Maybe they don't have a nearby transfer station either, so he doesn't have a dump.
That's right. Then you're going to be stuck with maggoty-ridden garbage. But it's the whole big thing.
But it's the 80s, so you probably can just offload that garbage wherever the fuck you want. There's no transfer stations. You just literally throw it across the freeway.
Problem solved. All done.
Thanks, Reagan.
Yeah, bury it in the yard. It's okay. And he jumps up, goes out, and it's a great opening too, because you're like, where's this going? But you know where it's going. You know, because when he comes out, he's got this bag of garbage. He's like, wait up, guys, hold on. He's got this nice smile on his face. Like, it's a nice Tuesday. I got nothing to worry about. I'm a retired Army general or whatever. Then he goes out, and there's a great little one-liner that this movie employs, half and half. I would say this movie, Commando, has some good one-liners and some kind of shitty ones. But
well, that's why there's 3 writers. One writer for the plot, one for just the one-liners, the little quips, and then one for the action sequences.
Yep. But he says, I thought you guys missed me. I'm like, no, we'll make sure we didn't. They pull out guns from the garbage truck, fucking blast him to shit. Not just, they're making a statement here. They shoot him probably 20 times with the submachine gun.
Yeah, they're Mac 10s. A staple of any good 80s action film is, either a Mac 10 or an Uzi.
It's a pretty great moment, I gotta say. It's a nice, exciting way to open the film, and then not only that, you're not done. This guy again, the one guy that they've got in here that is doing all the early mercenary killings, played by Bill Duke. Got a nice little hat on in his IMDb picture, but yeah, he plays his name Cook, and he's doing all these little killings. And then he goes to buy a fucking Cadillac, and the guy, what?
Goddamn Japs and their engineering and hard work. That's not them. That's us. Damn it. Sit in this Cadillac.
The salesman's trying to do a really hard sell. He's fucking going off on it, and then you see the Cadillac, and you're like, God, that is a god awful ugly car. I don't care how much horsepower it has, how fast it can blast through a sales window. That is an ugly ass car.
Oh, that's a beautiful car. Not only that.
No, he's not buying a car. He's buying a boat. I'm sorry.
And it has vinyl seats, not leather, because leather's hot. Leather cracks. Vinyl.
I know. I love how the salesman keeps calling him brother too. Just like a subtle little jab at him being black. Like,
why would you give him a key to a car in the showroom?
Start it up. He's like, sure, go ahead, start it up. That's a little odd. Probably a little bit of carbon monoxide poisoning here, but
you You hear that engine? That's power.
Blast him right through the shoulder.
You know what? You know what? I don't believe that man was part of a crack team commando. He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I know, really.
that where he's old Gil from the episode of fucking Simpsons when Homer wants to buy a Canyon Arrow SUV and Gil has had to sail it all, and he's like, you can drool on that car all you want, but rainwater strips the paint right off. And then he loses the sale to somebody who's better than him. And then he calls his wife, and he tells his wife he almost had a sale, and his wife's with somebody else. Hilarious.
It's a great opening, though. I really like it. I like it a lot.
And then, can't forget the third kill.
Go ahead.
Guys on a tugboat. You guys are playing with the fishing nets. How you doing there? Guys, keep working hard. He has a nice mustache. You think he's about to go out and, like, Crosby, Stills, and Nash Southern Cross is about to play because they're going to go on an adventure. Nope, old Cook's there with a remote bomb and blows him to shame.
Explosions galore. And so those first three kills, like you get those, and then you get this beautiful montage where it kind of comes out of nowhere because like the kills occur and then it just cuts to Arnold. You're like, the fuck? What's
in this big bougie mansion in like the San Fernando, LA Valley? Makes you think you're like in somewhere in either, Central America or Asia, and coming down
like
the mountainside.
Yeah, on a mountainside top. There's nothing there besides this house and apparently a bunch of fairy-tale grazing deer.
And Arnold's cutting a tree down and close up of the chainsaw, and then him carrying the log, that's not just like a little log. It's literally like a 10-foot tree trunk he's carrying down the mountainside, chainsaw in hand too, because he's like, what was he going to do with that log? Like, he's in California. It's not like he's going to keep his house heated or anything,
I know. Yeah, that was funny because I was thinking like the chainsaw was still running too. I was like, that's poor practice. Keeping the chain. That's just such dangerousness to have a chainsaw in one hand while it's running. But no,
was he practicing for like the Great Scots games or something? Like, I'm going to be, I'm going to zero,
He's a regular old Paul Bunyan down there. And then I love too, he's chopping the wood and he's seeing in the glint of the axe someone approaching from behind. Like, oh my gosh, he's going to turn around. He's going to slice their head off. Nope, it's just his daughter, Alyssa Milano. Little Alyssa, little Jenny coming from behind. It's a good thing he's not as jumpy as some other veterans with PTSD.
I know, but it would have been a little too early for him to use that and stab somebody. But it would be a totally different film if he stabbed her in like the heart. He's like, no.
Well, I was thinking that actually. I was thinking because you get this great montage of Arnold Schwarzenegger spending time with his daughter. Mom's not in the picture. He's good. Just going. He's going out. He's, like I said, grazing deer just in the backyard. They go to get ice cream, and she dips his face in ice cream. I thought that would be really funny if this would be a different movie where you think that they're gonna laugh, and all of a sudden he smashes her head into the table. Don't you fucking do that again with my ice cream. It would have been a different movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the gigantic child abuser. But I love that montage. And not only that, but that's your introduction to Commando's great soundtrack. The soundtrack that is pretty much the only music that you're going to get in this movie.
It's omnipresent.
It is it's just everywhere. And you get variations on it, but what I really like is for the composer, they were like, you know what, we really need a pumping score for this. It's an action-packed movie. And they were like, you know what, synth soundtracks, those are pretty in right now. Can you give us a pulsing synth soundtrack? It's like, I'll do you one better. I've got fucking pan flutes over here. I've got fucking kettlebells.
They literally hit every continent. Like,
I know.
Like, hey, you know what's really cool and makes you feel like you're in like a... I was watching one of those Lupin movies, and I saw every time the samurai dude shows up, they got... pan flute playing. Let's add that to our synth. Okay. Wait. I just saw Day of the Dead, and it had zombies in it, and people, the army too. But I had these, in the synth score, but also had these fucking Caribbean kettle drums. Put that in there too. The only thing it was missing was like cannons firing off in the background.
And I'm not even complaining. The soundtrack goes hard. It's like not only is it
leans really into it. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but
it's not even like that. It's like an amalgamation of all these things, but it's like it's mastered super loud too, so that it's just constantly going in the background. And I feel like every time you hear it though, they've added like another synth layer to it. Just like another, like, here's some more violins to it. Here's some more chaotic bass to it. It just keeps going. I like it though. I like it a lot. And I like too how in the beginning of the movie, they really set this soundtrack up and it sounds like it's going to be a really intense movie. And it's not even an intense scene. It's like they're petting a deer, but there's these fucking kettle drums going in the background.
Which, by the way, is the funniest but stupidest thing I've ever seen in this film. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and as he's like eating a sandwich with his daughter, playing tag with his daughter, petting a deer, like the game warden has it come up and be like, you need to stop eating the fucking deer.
Stop with the deer. There have been complaints that the deer have been too domesticated now.
All it was missing was birds flying in,
It's funny because do you know how skittish those deer would probably be? They're the only house in the fucking 17-mile area.
Yeah.
They're on a fucking hillside, and these deer just coming up like, what's going on over here? Yeah. So like you've got this setup. Schwarzenegger has a kid. Mom's not in the picture, and Kirby comes. It's general from the army, and not only that, but there's a great scene where the helicopter's flying around. And Alyssa says, why is that army helicopter approaching? It's like, I don't know, Alyssa. Do you see anything else in the area? Do you think it...
And they're flying like an asshole, too. They're flying low and they fuzz the hounds, and it's like, you know what? Like, if I'm Arnold, I'm reporting you for flying like a douchebag.
I like, though, that this film kind of sets up that, like, you can never really get out of the army, especially Arnold as a person in this movie.
He's not just the army. He's a commando.
Yeah, he's John Matrix, okay?
What a beautiful name. Colonel John Matrix. I didn't know colonels went running around the field fucking, bombing everybody like that. I thought by that time,
they were just leading.
You're further away.
Yeah.
You're an officer. You're not supposed to be,
And I guess no one told Matrix, like when you lead a commando squad like that, you don't just get to like stop doing that. Like this is like the Boy Scouts. You don't just leave. You're always in it.
Well, not like that too. So what was Colonel John Matrix's name when he was born in East Germany? You got that? Which, you know what? I'm glad they actually bothered to throw that in there in this film, because usually,
kid in East Germany.
Because usually, like in the Arnold films, like sometimes, because I remember in Kindergarten Cop they mentioned too, like back in Austria, so it makes sense, that explaining this is supposed to be all American while he's walking around with a thick, accent.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that
they give you that little tidbit of information.
As he's making a crack at
exactly. Yeah, it has to come at the expense of Boy George, but they at least get the information in there.
Why don't they call him Girl George? And she's like, "Oh, Dad, you fucking fossil." And he's like, "When rock and roll came to East Germany, it's the communists called it subversive. Maybe they were right." And then that's when they came. But I mean, like I said, what was his real name? What was his real name before they he came from East Germany over here? we could have had him in Atomic Blonde. Imagine Arnold in Atomic Blonde.
Yeah.
It would have been something.
Yeah. I like when Kirby comes in because he's such kind of a dick too. He's like
He's the fucking colonel or general from Rambo First Blood. He's a ripoff of him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He comes in and he's kind of cordial. He's like, "Oh, Jenny, how are you?" And then he's like, "I need to speak to your dad. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here."
And she's like, "Good, you're not gonna take him away." And he's like, "No, I'm not going anywhere." And then they're like, "They're killing your former team." And he's like, "Where are they? I'll kill them all."
Well, not only that, but like Kirby makes it sound like he's like, "No, we contacted the federal government. We're gonna take care of it. We're gonna leave these two random guys that, they're pretty good, I guess."
Which is the stupidest thing in the world. Like, you mean to tell me there's like a terrorist operation going on and the army's like, well, I mean, it does kind of make sense. But I mean, you're telling me like, they're like, we're going to contact the federals. Like, so what do you mean by federals? Do you contacting the FBI? Are you contacting the CIA? Because that's like probably like, the CIA probably should have sniffed that out by now, with how their networking is. And you mean like, oh, don't worry. Johnson and Harrison here are going to protect you. And then they don't protect him.
Yeah, and like not only that, but I was thinking when he said, "Yeah, they're pretty good, but they're not as good as you, Matrix." I was like, "Well, how good can you be, really?" And then Matrix goes on to say, "I could smell them downwind." Like, fucking what?
When the one guy gets shot, and because he turns around, the two guys get shot, but the one guy's still alive, and he's like, "Are you hurt?" And he's like, he's shot in the shoulder. He's like, "I'll be fine." And he's like, "You need to get out of here. Make sure you go downwind so you can smell it." He's like, "You think I can smell them?" And he's like, "I did."
I know. And I was thinking, like, this man has the fucking olfactory senses of a bloodhound. And he's picking up the scents in his little face wrinkles and smelling where the guys are.
Where at, boy?
And that's when I realized, oh, okay, this guy really is good. This guy's like fucking dog good.
Well, what was Kirby like then? Because Kirby, he tells Kirby, he's like, "I learned everything from you."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hilarious because I do love when these movies, they rely on one guy. Like the one guy is their entire army, and they're like, "You're just so good." And you're like, "But how is he so good? How can one person be that much better?"
He's not that good because remember when he talks about like his old Commando experience of like overthrowing these governments and stuff, you're like, they're like, he's like, "Well, who would be after me?" He's like, "You made a lot of enemies out there, John." And it's like, if you're a fucking commando, they should have known that you were behind the fucking whatever the hell you were doing. Because being a commando you're supposed to be secretive, not running around like killing a whole army and be like, "My name's John Matrix." Ah!
Right, yeah. You shouldn't be that easy to find.
It's the same thing with James Bond. Why James Bond's such a terrible, it's technically like such a terrible secret agent because everybody knows like, oh, that's James Bond. He's a fucking secret agent for the MI6.
Yeah, I mean,
they could pick him out of the crowd. Like, oh, there he is.
Exactly. Like if you were really that good, they wouldn't know where you are, who you are, and they wouldn't be coming for your daughter. But the movie, like, from this point on, it really doesn't stop with its action elements. It kind of just continues on and on and on, and the pacing is really well done from director Mark L. Lester. It does a good job of setting up this idea that like there's only 11 hours that Schwarzenegger has to get to his daughter before they're going to murder her in some made up fictional communist country. Valverde, made up for this movie. It's definitely, while everything about it is kind of, if you really stop and think about it, it's kind of dumb. The idea itself and the action and the pacing is all really well done to the point where Commando is just like a fun movie to watch. And it starts right when they ambush his little condo there, and the guys that they've set out to protect him, well, they're useless, completely useless. They get blown up right away. And Schwarzenegger, after they kidnap his daughter, gets into his Jeep that's fucking has engine cut out.
Hold on. You skipped a beautiful part here. The whole part where he's climbing up on the roof to get to his guns and how anti-American of him. He's got a G3 locked away instead of an M16. And then as he's in the, gets to the room, he finds this one guy that he thinks would be like a big boss where he's like, we have your daughter. They're en route now, going down. Now here, we need you to do a job for us. And if you do this job for us, she'll be left unharmed. You're not really in a position to bargain, Matrix. What do you say? And then he goes, I don't have to do shit. And then it's just the guy in the head.
I know. That is a nice part. That is nice. You're not expecting it. You're expecting that guy to be more of the like main bad guy that's going to be a face-off between the two. And it's not. It's a nice part. But my favorite part is when he gets into his truck. And
Chevy, I'm pretty sure it's a Trailblazer.
Oh, is it? Yeah. And he gets into that truck, and he literally just fucking
because the wire's been ripped down. So he's like, oh, and he's still like, I'm gonna push it down the mountain, and I'm gonna chase these people.
He throws it into neutral, starts pushing with it, and like I like too how like they really made a point to get 2 shots of him. Yeah, just his muscle. And not only that, but like him really pushing off into the dirt, and he's like trying to get his bearings in the dirt, and then throws it down the mountain basically and jumps in after them. And it's really funny too because Cook's like, that motherfucker's coming down with our bikes on us. It's great, but it's a nice scene. It really is. And kudos to the stunt people because there are a couple shots there where it looks like that truck's gonna go ass over tea kettle. It's flying down the side of the mountain there. But
once it does, it explodes like a right proper 80s action.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just like, oh man, roof's crushed in. No, it caught fire and exploded. But it's a nice scene. I also like too, you have that famous, action scene where the hero gets out and they've all got guns and they're like, the easiest way to do it is just like shoot him, right? But no, they let him take a gun and smack other people over the head with the gun. Before they're just like, hey, you might want to put that down.
Yeah. Freeze, motherfucker. It's so stupid.
But again, it is fun. It does add fun to the movie. And I appreciate that because I think a lot of times the 80s movies kind of get bogged down in like information overload about stupid things. And this movie really doesn't have that. It really sets out one specific thing. They meet with the guy one time, and he basically says, "Go murder this president, and we will let your daughter go."
President of Valverde.
Yep, murder this guy, and we'll let your daughter go. And that's really like the only setup that this film really needs. It doesn't need like Valverde is a landlocked country with armies approaching on the east and west, and it's fucking. So a lot of times that movies get bogged down with all of the politics of what the movie has to set up in motion for everything to make sense. This movie doesn't have that. It just literally just says, we've got your daughter. You got 11 hours because you're going to be on a flight to Valverde. Takes 11 hours. And
where's the, like, is it the, like, I can't imagine a flight from California to Central America takes 11 hours.
I don't know.
And that's also the other stupid thing too, like I said, like the whole, like, we gotta create a fake country for you to go to, where we, put juntas in. Hey, it's like, just make it fucking Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala, what, are they really gonna be like, oh, you pissed us off, by showing us in this way? You guys do that all the time with China and Russia. So what the fuck difference would it have made to be like, yeah, you're going down to Honduras to take care of some shit?
I don't know. They had to make up Valverde. And yeah, so like the idea sets in motion all of this, like the 11 hours that they need, because he's supposed to be on a flight. They hear that he's doing anything else besides being on this flight to Valverde to kill the president. They're going to murder his daughter. So he knows, like, I can't risk having them contact anybody else that I'm doing anything. So the film kind of sets that up, that there's danger involved in him, like, trying to escape without, murdering the people that can report back. So the movie does make a lot of use of the 80s stuff, like, we don't have cell phones back then. So, no danger in immediate contact. It's not like they have, like, international walkie-talkies either. They, if they want to contact somebody, they got to jump on a payphone and call collect. Which we see happen at the airport when John's able to get off the plane by jumping through, well, I guess it's through the luggage area where they hold all the luggage on the plane, goes through like this canvas that he rips out apart, goes down to where the landing gear is, and escapes out a little hatch there, probably dooming the plane. Let's just say that. That plane's not going to touch down in Valverde because he opened a hatch that's going to depressurize the cabin and bring all 200 people to their death as they're flying. But no,
not on his watch. No, not on his watch. It's okay.
Yeah, I'd say that's okay. But he jumps off the plane, and then there's a guy watching him from the airport, and eventually he figures out that he's gotten off the plane, and he's got to use a payphone to contact the guys back in Valverde, and he has to ask for a quarter. It's a nice little moment. Got a quarter? I need a quarter. Got to use this payphone over here.
Well, no, you're just skipping a whole.
I'm not trying to go in order. I'm literally just
okay.
But yes, he does. He goes to, the payphone thing is pretty hilarious to me. I just want to mention that. But you can go ahead and you can talk about the other parts that I skipped out on.
But I mean, so it's funny because, like, when he at a couple of things, when he, like, breaks the guy's neck on the plane, and he's like, he gets sick. Can you please, don't disturb him? And he covers him up. And like, sure. You mean to tell me nobody smelled that man riding away on that plane for 11 hours?
Yeah, they show him later on, it's still in the flight, and he's like bleeding. He's got like hemorrhaging from his nose and everything now. He's like turned gray already on the flight.
Didn't smell that at all. No one smelled that. It's okay. But no, so it's funny because, like, when he gets, which, by the way, too, that's also funny, when he jumps out of the plane, he does it smartly to land on, like, some reeds and marsh, but he still lands on his ass. I can imagine, like, if he, fell from that height, lands on his ass, but it's in, like, some marsh and shit, it's not going to be like, oh, okay, I'm fine. You're still going to, like, break your tailbone, but no, man's made of adamantium, gets right. John Matrix is a man on a mission, and he's fucking, he's good to go, and then you see him running through, like, the airport, and then, making his way to find Sully. It's hilarious. And then how we get to see at the airport Sully accosting a poor woman on a phone for no reason.
Yeah, I mean,
except to say Warriors come out and play.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing that comes out of nowhere in this movie too. Like, why he's so obsessed with that woman for just like a quick second. He kind of stalks her all the way back to her car, and then she turns him down again, which she's already done. She says basically like, "Get the fuck lost. I'm not interested in you at all." And so he
says the proper.
Yeah,
he says the right thing. Yeah, whore.
Yeah, he says you fucking whore. Just
fucking whore. No, not whore. Whore. Whore.
You were coming on to me by being on a phone in front of me, like the fucking whore that you are, and now I have to walk away dejected with blue balls because you.
Did you see the suit Sully was wearing? Man's class.
I mean, the funny thing about that is, like, you would think, like, if this were a different movie, like a more gritty reality, there'd be obvious rape involved here. Like, why is that guy going to stop there? He's just going to be like, okay, fucking whore.
Because he's Sully, because he's like 5'8" and 140.
I just like, this is a normal incel type guy like that. Probably not going to stop there. But yeah, it's that's where we first meet our female heroine here, the one that's obviously going to be lusting after Arnold Schwarzenegger after she sees him rip her convertible seat out of the car. Literally, just Arnold comes up to her, says, "We've got to go," and you just
get down,
just fucking like an ape man. I was thinking actually in Christmas Vacation, and she says he was a huge, beastly, bulging man in a leisure suit. That's Arnold in this movie when he comes up and just fucking rips the car seat right out of the car.
Who's gonna pay for that car seat getting ripped out of that car? And she's just like, "Oh, okay."
Better yet, who's the guy who stumbled upon it in the garage and was like, "What the fuck? Why is there a fucking convertible leather seat sitting here?"
But and not, either way, like, what's she doing? Like driving like a 1964 like BMW convertible or whatever, and she's a fucking flight attendant.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, "Where's the money coming from there?" Yeah, that's a pricey car that she's got there. And I like too how she kind of takes to the whole situation. She's like, "It's just not my day." It's an understatement. Like, well, you almost got raped. Now a burly guy just ripped your car out and just hijacked you. It's probably an understatement.
Some burly Austrian sitting there.
How do you feel about her going to the obvious like guard force that's in the mall, the security guard force, and telling them like, "Oh, there's a weird guy that's watching me."
Because that makes sense.
Totally makes sense, right? Because he doesn't even give her any sort of explanation. He just comes up like a madman.
Well, because he's a commando. So she's like, "What are you doing this for?" And he's like, "I can't tell you."
Yeah.
She's like, "You're gonna kill me, aren't you?" He's like, "No, you need."
But it definitely makes sense, like why she would be a little bit nervous. She's like, it'd just be like, "I'm the good guy. I just need to follow that guy. He's a bad guy." But no, he doesn't give her any explanation. It's just like, "I'm kidnapping you," basically. So it makes sense to me. But I do like when the guy radios. He's like, "We got a real wacko out there."
Got a real screw. He's got a real guy with a real screwball loose. He belongs in the nut house.
There's a
gonna need some backup.
And you got
I know, and she goes in there. She goes into that nice pizzeria Uno, and tells the guy, and then she's like, "I did my job." And then Arnold's, what's great too, in this packed mall, is sitting behind a column, and because he's such a hoss of a man, he's not really hiding, and it's like him like,
It's like, really hilarious when the guy when the security guard just comes out and like starts looking at him, and he just does like a dip behind the column, like no one saw him.
They're all too busy going down to Sbarro for some Stromboli and knots to pay attention to.
Apparently, mall restaurants were a lot fancier back then.
Like I said, that's basically like a giant pizzeria Uno.
Like,
yeah,
the criminal enterprise was doing all of their crimes in that restaurant. They're meeting in a mall restaurant, passing money back and forth to each other.
It's great too, though, because she rats him out and she thinks she did her job and she's fine. And then she sees like this exchange going on, and then she's like, "Oh no, maybe he's not crazy."
Yeah. And then she experiences a shootout in front of her. She actually says this later on. She's like, "I just saw a bunch of people die because of you, basically, but it's because of her." She had to bring that whole thing down on her. Which is probably worth pointing out too. Ray Dawn Chong plays Cindy in this movie. She's in Tales from the Dark Side of the movie, if you remember from when we did that show a couple of years ago now. She was in the one where she was the demon. Remember where they hook up and brings her home, and she says like, don't like go out at night or something like that, and she's the demon and blah blah blah. Yeah, she's in that movie. Bet you didn't know that. But anyway, with the after that, like, after the whole mall thing, it doesn't really let up. There's a kind of a lull where we have to meet Cindy and we kind of like get the kind of buddy cop thing going on between Matrix and Cindy. But it still doesn't really let up. It does add a lot of extra context though. Like now we know that Cindy is like training to be a pilot, which is like great for Matrix because they need to fly to fucking Valverde. So
it just so happens like
serendipitous. Yeah. Serendipitous that she can fly this amphibian plane that they need to get to Valverde.
Fucking where I say Selma Hayek showed up from Dogma. It's serendipity.
Yeah. But that's a lucky break for Matrix.
Well, the even luckier break is how he chases Sully, and this movie is basically paying homage to Arnold's second best film after this one, Jingle All the Way.
Yeah,
with how the mall like part is kind of done, like him swinging across the.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the balloon stunt, that's actually a really great stunt. I thought that was really cool looking. Jumping off the balcony, swinging with a balloon. It was very kinetic. But yeah, it does definitely remind.
Pretty sure didn't Jackie do that also in Police Story?
Yeah, something similar to that. Yeah, swinging like that.
Which also was in '85. So man, like again, like that period of '80s action films, like in. Having the mall as these like central places for conflict and all these big action sequences is quite the thing.
We loved the mall at that time. The mall was your place to go. Yeah, I mean after that, like we get this idea that we're going on a plane. They go shopping to get basically all the gear that you can think of from a fucking surplus store. So it's like a surplus outlet or something like that. And they go in, and Arnold knows that there's a button in the back underneath the counter that's going to open up a special door that has a full ass army arsenal of every. It's almost like you're opening up and you got like GTA style gunshot.
It's like it's GTA Vice City ammunition back there. Just
yeah. And it's not only does it have just like your normal, pistols and firearms and things like that, but it's got a fucking rocket launcher in the back too.
That's so stupid.
I know.
What are you gonna need that for? I don't know. I like some of the shit that he grabs too that we don't see him use, like the flippers. Like he's like,
oh yeah, that's right. He does. Must be. Maybe he's assuming that they might need him because they're going on that amphibian plane.
Yeah.
So like if there's a water landing, they're going to need him just in case. But yeah, that's right. I did notice the flippers too, because the film kind of makes a specific like shot of that, him putting the flippers in. Yeah.
The fact that they're not used is kind of, sad. But I mean, like, yeah, like some of the shit that he's grabbing like a vest and, all this shit. He's like, flippers.
Yeah, that was good. That's funny. I forgot about that. But yeah, they are like highlighted that he's going to use them at some point, and he never does. How do you like to, like, in the 80s, there was always this idea that, like, you had to use a stopwatch for everything because this film really makes use of the 11-hour stopwatch.
Yes, with his watch.
And, like, wouldn't you think, like, well, it's, you just look at your watch and you're like, well, it's 9 o'clock now. 11 hours from now, it's just going to be, it's just going to be 8 o'clock. So, I got about till 8 p.m. No, you got to set your exact stopwatch, like 11 hours on the dot, like looking at it, counting down.
You obviously were a commando.
Yeah, apparently not. Apparently I wasn't. I feel like you didn't need to time it as much as he was looking at it like that. Yes, if the bomb is literally set to go off in 11 hours, okay, yes, set your timer. But if they're just saying the flight is going to come in 11 hours from now, I think you can just estimate based on the time. It's pretty funny though. But yeah, how do you like that Cindy, she says she's only trained on a Cessna for flight, and she's like piloting this amphibious airplane that she's never used before. She says it's ancient, it's outdated, and not only that, but like she's getting it going, and they're going to crash into a boat, and Arnold's just like, no, we're not. And he just hits some random, like, accelerator, and they just accelerate over the boat. It's like, good thing that was there. Good thing there's just a accelerator that Cindy forgot to use, or else they would have been in really tough shit. I always love that about the films where, like, you're like, they're a pilot.
You just have to believe in him.
Yeah, exactly. But I love that when they're a pilot and they just say, like, yeah, I'm a pilot. I know how to fly. Like, what do you know how to fly? Like, it's not like every plane is the same. You can't just, like, hop into one plane and just be like, yeah, I know exactly how to fly this thing. But film's got a lot of mileage out of that. Just, if you've flown one thing, you've flown them all. Helicopter, cargo jet. You know how to fly anything. So we get to basically the final, probably like 30 minutes of this movie. And so Arnold's now in Valverde. And they go to this, like, I don't know what it is. It's like almost like a flower resort or something like that. Like, I don't know, what would you call this place that they're in when he's doing his final showdown?
It's just some fucking compound.
It's like but what's with all the flowers? Like, what do they got, a gardener there that's just like, like, make this look like it's not a place that we're performing war crimes in, you know? Get all the flowers you can find and put them up. But regardless, they're in this area, and Arnold's pretty much packed to the gills with all this shit. He's got, like, a light machine gun he's running around with, one-armed. Also shirtless, too, because that's a famous part of this movie is the montage where he's suiting up, putting, like, the war paint on his face, you know, going shirtless with his nice belt on. And he's just blasting through all these henchmen. It's probably like 50 henchmen that he just are shooting at him, and he's just...
No, more. There's literally a whole fucking, like, brigade there that he just mows down, like, nonchalantly. Like, this is where the movie kind of, well, Strike Commando obviously rips off from it, but it's like Strike Commando. It's just like, you know, him yelling the entire time, and these assholes not knowing how to, you know, stand and fire, and they're just missing ridiculously, and he's just, like, turning around and just wiping them all out. And then, I mean, it's great. It's really good fun, but I mean, it's stupid. Because the same thing too, when he puts, like, plants the claymores down by the buildings, and all of a sudden he detonates, and the buildings, the whole compound explodes because he had, like, 2 claymores set up. It's fucking, but it's awesome. Like, it looks really cool though, as he's, like, running away, seeing the, you know, everything just blow, you know, right to shit.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really cool, but it's also, when you know, obviously when you think about it, it's really stupid because it just doesn't make any sense. It almost feels like there's, like, this invincibility around Arnold at this point. Like, literally nothing can happen to him because there's no way he's getting blown up by any of these guys with guns because they don't know how to shoot at all. They might as well be shooting backwards because they don't know what they're doing.
A little grenade shrapnel eventually gives him a limp, but then he hides in a shed for the most hilarious part of the film. They unload on the shed, and then they enter, and because he's Commando, he hid up in the roof, drops down with a pitchfork, stabs a guy, and then grabs some saw blades and throws them at them like he's playing, like, a Turok game, and, like, beheads a couple of them with it. It's fucking hilarious. It's so fucking stupid, but it's so awesome. It's just like, yeah, get him.
I know. Yeah, the saw blade throwing is really great. I think that's hilarious. What do you like? I love the one guy that has the fucking chainmail. What's his name? Bennett. Bennett is really the guy who puts this all together because he was in Arnold's squad at one point, and he got kicked out.
I think he was Left for Dead.
Oh, he was Left for Dead?
Because I think he's either Left for Dead or presumed dead, because he says, like, oh, I thought you were dead.
Yeah. I don't know. He kind of says like he got thrown out. So whatever the case, Matrix did him dirty in his opinion, and he's coming after him. And so, yep, he got this guy that looks very much like Freddie Mercury with a nice mustache. He's got chainmail on. He's wearing chainmail for whatever reason, like a random chainmail vest that he just wears throughout the entire movie. And you got the nice showdown at the end where he's it's got to be like a nice little factory setting too. There's obviously an electrocuted gate there, because why wouldn't there be? Just electric fence waiting for them to be used.
How did that not kill him? I thought that would,
No, it like spiced him up. He got revved up by. He's like, I feel great now.
I love too that Alyssa Milano's sitting there watching this entire thing go down, and knowing Alyssa Milano today, like she wouldn't be like, "Get him." She'd be like, "Oh, save the
That's
animals." Violence is wrong. Buy season 3 of Charmed on Blu-ray.
yeah. It's funny though. I the fight scene's pretty good. It's probably not my favorite part of the movie. I think like
It's really cartoony because it's so over out. Like they're ripping doors off in front of us, and they're not being scalded, and and he's beating the shit. No, but hold on. So pause. The whole fight sequence is fucking stupid because how it comes about, because Bennett, as gets up to Alyssa Milano, tricks, poor Arnie into getting shot, and he gets shot in the shoulder, and they're having a nice banter, and then Arnold gets this reverse psychology bullshit on him. He's like, you don't want to shoot me.
Yeah.
You can, I'm one armed. You want to beat me in a real fight. And then he throws the gun away. He's like, that's right. I can beat you in a real fight.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
They haven't. Yeah, that's how the knife fight happens. It's so fucking stupid. Like,
because he doesn't even, he like falls right into the trap and doesn't even think about it at all. He's just like, you're right. I can beat you in a fight myself. I don't need this gun. It's brainwashing, and they didn't say that Schwarzenegger was a expert brainwasher too in his time as a commando. Yeah, I mean that scene is fine. It does suffer from like all of the things that probably all of the showdown scenes of the 80s have, is like, it's ridiculous. Fighting like that, they would be dead like 3 ways to Sunday by any manner of things that they were doing in that scene. Has that generic factory setting to it that's just, sets the mood, the atmosphere. But it's an all right scene. I think like most of the rest of the movie is a lot better off because it's kind of got a lot of unique ideas in how it presents them. I would say like a lot of the uniqueness comes from just the scenes themselves, like Arnold pushing a car down a hill, flying an amphibian plane, jumping out of a plane from the landing gear. I think the film employs a lot of unique ideas. When it sticks to kind of some of the generic action movie elements, it suffers a little bit more. And that's how I feel about the end of the movie. Because I think like the shootout and the fight scene are a little too generic for my taste for this movie. And I think too, like the ending, the finale, it really is sort of abrupt in the way that it's all handled. It's like, all right, case closed, taken care of. We're going to live our life in this palatial estate again. And don't bother us, Kirby. And Kirby's like, that's what you think.
You should rebuild your team. And he's like, no.
Yeah. Which is funny too, because like, why is he saying that? Like, the damage is done now. And first of all, most of his team is dead. So like, why would he rebuild his team? He's already taken care of it. No thanks to the army. The army only comes after the fact. And they're like, is it Matrix? Like, I think so. I'm getting ready for World War III. So I don't know why he would even contemplate rebuilding his team.
What'd you leave for us? Bodies.
Yeah, they were like, did you leave anything else? They're like, just bodies. It's great.
So on that point, so what's your favorite one-liner of the film?
Well, I think probably my favorite by being very bad is I think it's when he's in where is he? Is it? It's not Sully, I don't think. It's the other guy. Oh no, it's Cook. It's Cook, and he's like, I think he's like, "Fuck you, man," or something like that. He's like, "No, fuck you, man," or something like that. It's just really terrible. Like,
You're gonna whoop this green berets and whoop your ass. I eat green berets.
Yeah, that's another pretty terrible one too. Yeah, some of them don't work very well.
The best one is when he's because earlier in the film we see him, talking to Sully, and he's like, and he's like, "That's funny, Sully." As before he gets on the plane, he's like, "You're a real funny guy, Sully. I'm gonna kill you last." And then when he catches up to Sully and he, gets the information he needs, fucking holding him by the leg over a cliff, and he's like, "Hey, Sully, remember when I said I'd kill you last because you're the funniest?" He's like, "That's right." I lied. He just dropped.
Yeah, I do like that too.
And I do like too when he's like holding him, he's like, "This is my weak arm, Sully. You gotta be careful. Gravity's such a thing."
Yeah, the film, it has some good ones, but it also has some really bad ones. Which I guess is the 80s films. It's what happened. Some good, some bad. What are you gonna do?
It's just some beautiful schlock.
Absolutely. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10 hotel titties.
Ooh, those are big ones. when they go crashing through in that hotel fight and the random couple having peg sex, she was put in the film literally just for that, because they're like, whoa.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, they're like, you're gonna draw everyone's attention.
90-pound woman, but she's got fucking double G titties.
Yeah.
Damn. I'll give it an 8.5. Commando's great. This is a great film, and it's fun as shit. And it's kind of sad thinking about it. Like, I know it's part of the zeitgeist, but it's not as more the zeitgeist as Predator, because this is a better film than Predator. It's fun. It's stupid, but it's fun. And it's the right kind of fun because the film knows it's ridiculous. It knows that it's outlandish. And it knows that it's dumb. But it revels in it, and it's a lot of fun. Arnold's great in this. He's charismatic as all hell. Really fun. Gives a great performance. Looks terrific. Kicks some great ass. The action's not really the greatest part of this film, because there's nothing really that stands out, like if you're watching, like, say, like Invasion USA with all the fucking stupid shit that's going on with the action. Like, nothing stand out overall, but it's well done. The film, as you said earlier, incredibly well paced. It's a brisk 90 minutes. Once, you hit the ground running with the intro, the film doesn't stop, keeps going, knows where it's going. It's a lot of fun. Arnold's great. Rae Dawn Chong as Cindy. She's a lot of fun, too. Has some great little lines. Alyssa Milano, for a child actress at this time, does a pretty good job. Isn't insufferable. Get to see her do a couple of smart things. Honestly, Vernon Wells as Captain Bennett kind of steals the show because he's so fucking campy, so outlandish. He's great, and I don't think we talked about him enough, but like he's such a ball because you can tell he's hamming it up and he loves it. Commando's great. It's 8.5 out of 10 film. I wish I've seen this film more times than the 2 times I've seen it now, because this is like, when you think pinnacle stupid ass 80s action films, this is the film, but it's that in every right form. So yeah, 8.5.
Yeah, I would agree. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really fun movie. I think it's probably one of the better ones that we've done for the Red Hot 80s Action Summer series. It knows what it's doing. It knows that it's a big, goofy movie. Arnold seems to know that that's why he's here as well. And the film just really goes with that. And like I said, it's like pretty much 90 minutes of nonstop action. Again, too, this movie knows when to get in and get out. It's 90 minutes long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It knows what the viewer wants to see, and it provides it in the form of a lot of action that doesn't really stop. It's got a nice little buddy element to it. I think Rae Dawn Chong does a really good job, too, here as the sidekick. It knows that it's got a little bit of humor to it, and it plays that up, but it also just really leans into all the ridiculous action elements that it has. And when it's being a lot more unique in its writing and its plotting, I think that's really where Commando shines. When it tries to go to more generic route, it may not be as stand out as some of the other movies of the time frame and genre. But I really like this one. I think it was really fun overall, and it shows why this is probably one of the pinnacles of like the 80s action movie element because it's really a fun movie to just watch and not really think about too much, but just enjoy the visuals and the plotting. So really, really fun movie. Good pick for this one. I like that. All right, so what are we doing next time for 80s Action Month?
You want to do Police Story 2?
Yeah, I think so. This is gonna be our first double dip on sequel films. I think that works. Police Story 2. We'll have fun. We had a lot of fun with the original, so I think we'll enjoy this one a lot too. A little Jackie Chan action in.
Okay, now
That's right.
I think I have an idea for our fourth and final.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that we haven't truly picked that one yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you want to hear us cover all of those 80s action movies, you should stay tuned as we're going to do it all August long. So subscribe to us. Leave us a nice review. We're on pretty much any podcasting app that you can think of. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or home base at Anchor.fm, which is now Spotify. We are on Facebook and Twitter, which is now X, I guess. You can like us on there or follow us or do whatever you do. We don't really use social media all that much, but stay tuned for our stuff on there. And we have an email address at bloodandblackrunpodcast@gmail.com. You can write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to cover, and we'll keep that in consideration. And then you can donate to us as well at patreon.com/bloodandblackrunpodcast. Give us money. We'll put it back towards beer. We appreciate in advance. So hopefully you enjoyed our episode on Commando, and we'll stick around for our Red Hot 80s Action Summer Part 3, Back to Duty. And until next time,
take care.